tell me a little bit about who you are for those of our viewers who don't know you. Introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Yvonne Taylor. I am the Vice President of Seneca Lake Guardian. We are a small community grassroots organization designed to protect and preserve the clean air, clean water, and health of our Finger Lakes region, and support those sustainable agriculture and tourism jobs that rely on that clean air and water.
So, cutting right to the chase, tell me a little bit. You got a letter, didn't you?
Yes, right before Thanksgiving, we received an 11-page letter from a law firm representing Seneca Meadows Landfill, claiming that we needed to cease and desist our public opposition to the landfill extending its closure date from 2025 to 2040. So this is very common, unfortunately, when public opponents of an issue speak out as part of the public process using their First Amendment rights. A bully corporation like Seneca Meadows will initiate what is the beginning of what they call a strategic lawsuit against public participation, or SLAP suit. And it's meant to intimidate and chill, everyday citizens and organizations like mine from speaking out.
So, what was your reaction when you got the letter? How did it make you feel?
To some extent, it had its desired effect. It's very intimidating to receive. I mean, the packet that they sent was, 2 inches thick. And you get something like this in the mail and your heart sinks, and you feel like all of the the efforts that you put into educating and informing the public about the harmful impacts of basically any landfill is being squelched. And the first thing we did was pick up the phone and call our lawyer, who read the letter and reviewed the information and determined that, we are within our rights to speak out publicly about this proposal to expand, and that nothing that we are saying publicly is a lie. It's all mostly based on reports from the industry itself or the Department of Environmental Conservation, and we are just simply exercising our First Amendment rights to speak out.
So, what's your next move?
After talking it over with friends and family, we decided that Seneca Lake Guardian will not be bullied into silence. We are going to continue to speak out publicly, as is our right. And I guess the only other thing I can say is that this isn't the first time this has happened to Seneca Lake Guardian. We received similar letters from the Greenwich Bitcoin mining facility along the shores of Seneca Lake. And they were attempting to do the same thing. And I think in all of the years that community members, business owners, elected officials have made heroic efforts to battle this landfill, they've never gotten a letter like this threatening them from Seneca Meadows. But I think that Seneca Meadows has watched our work, and they know that Seneca Lake Guardian has a undefeated track record at fighting large polluters like theirs and winning. And they're a little afraid that we might be victorious against them as well. So I think that's why they're threatening us in this way.
What's a perfect outcome? I mean, for you, what is your end game? Like, what do you what does your organization want to see happen? You're fighting against the extension of the date that the landfill is going to close. Can you kind of talk about that and educate us on that?
Sure. So Seneca Meadows Landfill is not only creating 75 million gallons of leachate a year that contains the toxic forever chemical PFAS, and it's not just harming our community. They're shipping this stuff all over New York State to places like Buffalo, Watertown, Chittenango, Steuben County, and even New Jersey, where it goes untreated into people's waterways. So, these chemicals are harmful to humans and animals. They bioaccumulate in bodies, and they're affiliated with causing things like cancer and other really nasty health impacts. So we're informing the public about that. They're, pumping out putrid odors that are smelled for miles around. The truck traffic is hindering our thriving economic engine, which is agriculture and tourism, and it's even turning people away from some large employers who are having a hard time retaining and recruiting people because nobody really wants to raise their family near a landfill. Not only that, but they're emitting levels of methane that are almost comparable to the Greenwich Bitcoin mining power plant. And that is hindering our efforts to reach New York State's bold climate goals. So the outcome that we are searching for is to get Governor Hochul to adhere to the original 2025 closure date for Seneca Meadows Landfill and adopt a statewide comprehensive solid waste management plan so that we aren't shipping that 6,000 tons of garbage to any other community, but reducing our waste in the first place and eliminating the need for landfills like this.
And that sort of segues right into what my next question was going to be. Like, where does the trash go if we don't have a landfill?
Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly what Seneca Meadows would say, right? You need to put this garbage somewhere, so we might as well take it here. But we, Seneca Lake Guardian's philosophy is not only to be against something, but also to be for something. And what we're for is pushing New York State to be more mindful about its solid waste management problem in the first place. And there are many different ways that we can tackle that problem and find solutions for eliminating the need for this waste to go anywhere.
And so really getting across to the governor is a big push. And can you talk to me about some of the ways that we could reduce our waste?
I sure can. 25% of the garbage that comes to Seneca Meadows landfill is from New York City. We're working with Sandy Nurse to talk to her more about composting, reducing, and recycling in New York City. So that eliminates the need to send it to us here upstate. We are looking at the employer or the producer responsibility bill that is in front of the New York State Legislature, which puts the responsibility on the producer of things like packaging and plastics to be more careful in their products, rather than just pass that along to the consumer where the consumer has nowhere to put this plastic and waste. We are also going to be researching San Francisco, which happens to be the country's #1 zero waste city in the country. So we're looking for ways to model what they've already put in place. We're also proud to have been able to educate and inform our Senator Rachel May and our Assembly Member Anna Kellis about PFAS chemicals in our waterways. And that has led to them introducing a bill to make these producers of these PFAS chemicals, like Seneca Meadows, responsible for testing and disclosing the amount of PFAS that they're producing every year. So those are just some of the ways that we're going about this, and there will be more to come in our campaign as we move forward.
Great. And so I guess to sum things up, you're not going to stop your efforts, you know, after receiving this letter. You don't feel like you are gonna be silenced, is what I'm hearing from you.
Yes, that's right. You know, New York State has very strong laws protecting public participation and our First Amendment rights to speak out publicly during a process like this. And we feel that we must persevere if we're going to protect the clean air and water of the people in the Finger Lakes. So yeah, we're gonna, despite these bullying tactics, we're gonna forge ahead.